The training base was buzzing under the hot afternoon sun, the kind of heat that makes tempers short and egos sharp. New recruits had arrived only a week earlier, each trying to prove something: strength, skill, bravery, anything to stand out. Among them was Marcus Hale, a loud, muscular, proud show-off who believed he was born for command. Marcus had served 2 years in regular infantry before being transferred to this advanced tactical program. He wasn't the best, but he was loud enough to make people believe he might be. And then there was the rookie. Her name was Arya Vale. She arrived early the first day, alone, head down, wearing a plain black shirt and cargo pants, nothing flashy. She didn't swagger like the others. She didn't boast. She barely spoke. But there was something in her eyes, calm, measured, almost unreadable. Marcus saw her silence as weakness. He saw her size. She was only around 5 feet 5 inches, lean, quiet, and instantly decided she was someone he could use to show dominance. He loved attention. He loved being the center of the room. And nothing fed his ego like belittling someone else. During the first few days, he kept making comments. "Hey, rookie, you sure you signed up for the right course? Careful, tiny, you might break." He threw these lines at her daily, but Arya never reacted, never even looked annoyed. She simply moved with quiet precision, did the drills perfectly, and followed orders with razor-sharp discipline. And that only made Marcus target her more. On the 7th morning of training, the squad assembled on the mats for close combat exercises. The instructor, Sergeant Rowan, a seasoned veteran with a face that told stories no one dared ask about, stepped forward. "Pair up," he ordered. "We're training grappling, controlled takedowns, and defensive counterforce." Before anyone could choose, Marcus strode across the mats and grabbed Arya's arm. "She's with me," he said loudly, making sure everyone heard. His grip was tight, intentionally painful. He wanted the other recruits to laugh. A few did. Arya didn't flinch. She looked at him slowly, expression calm. "Let go," she said softly. Her voice wasn't trembling. It wasn't scared. It was a warning. Soft but final. Marcus smirked. "Relax, rookie. I'll go easy on you. Wouldn't want to break something." Sergeant Rowan noticed, but didn't intervene yet. He simply watched, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Marcus dragged Arya to the center. "Let's start with a simple grab escape," he said mockingly, loud enough for the squad to hear. "If she can manage that." Arya's eyes lowered briefly, not in fear, but in calculation. She stood still, waiting, preparing. "All right, rookie," Marcus said, grabbing her wrist with a grin. "Try your B." He never finished in less than half a second. Arya twisted her wrist, pivoted her hips, and Marcus found himself weightless. She dropped her center of gravity, pulled his arm across her body, and slammed him onto the mat so fast the room gasped. He landed with a dull thud that knocked the air from his chest. Marcus coughed violently, staring up at the ceiling in shock. "What the?" he wheezed. Arya stepped back, hands by her sides, breathing steady, almost bored. Sergeant Rowan raised an eyebrow. "Interesting." But Marcus couldn't let it go. His pride couldn't take being embarrassed in front of everyone. He pushed up, furious. "Lucky move," he spit out. "Let's try that again." He lunged toward her, not a controlled training move, but a full, angry charge. Arya didn't even blink. She sidestepped, grabbed his collar and wrist, and used his own momentum to send him flipping over her hip. He crashed again, harder this time. The squad fell silent. Marcus groaned, stunned, but anger still boiling. He scrambled up, breathing heavy, sweat beading his forehead. He charged again, this time swinging wildly, a punch he had no business throwing. Arya deflected it with barely emotion, stepped inside his guard, and locked his arm behind his back so fast he didn't realize it until his face was pressed into the mat. She mounted, applied wrist pressure, and he felt pain explode across his joints. "Tap," she said quietly. Marcus tried to resist. Even then, his ego wouldn't let him quit. He strained, twisted, growled in humiliation. She increased pressure just enough to make his eyes widen. "Tap," she repeated, still calm, and he tapped. Furiously, Arya released him immediately and stood up, offering no words, no smile, nothing. She returned to the edge of the mat as if nothing had happened. The squad stared, whispering among themselves. Sergeant Rowan walked up to Marcus, who was still recovering his breath. "You want to know what just happened?" Rowan asked. Marcus looked away, ashamed. "Vale," Rowan said loudly. Front and center. Arya walked calmly to him. Rowan looked at the squad. For those who don't know, Arya Vale isn't a rookie. Marcus's head shot up. "She's a transfer," Rowan continued, "from the Special Forces Alpha program." Gasps echoed through the room. Everyone knew the Alpha program. Only the top 1% ever qualified. The ones who passed selection were ghosts, elite, almost mythical. Rowan continued. She completed Tier 1 reconnaissance training at 18. Served black operations in 3 countries you'll never hear about. Survived missions you wouldn't last 10 minutes in. And she's here because she requested to restart ground training. Marcus's mouth hung open. Arya stood still, hand behind her back, face expressionless. "Valor doesn't brag," Rowan said, turning toward Marcus. "Foes do." Marcus felt the entire squad watching him with judgment, humiliation, shock. But the story didn't end there. Not even close. Over the next few weeks, the atmosphere on the base shifted. Marcus avoided Arya at first, embarrassed and angry. But as the days passed, something strange happened. He started watching her train. Really watching. Arya moved like someone sculpted for combat. Fluid, silent, precise. She always arrived early and stayed late. She never spoke unless necessary. She never judged anyone. And she never repeated failures. Every mistake became an instant improvement. Marcus, who had always relied on brute strength and loud confidence, found himself observing her discipline, her focus, her absolute control. And then came the day everything changed. A special drill was scheduled. Urban survival simulation. The recruits were divided into teams of 3, assigned missions, and dropped into separate zones. Marcus and Arya ended up on the same team along with a recruit named Lyle, a quiet tech specialist. Their objective: retrieve a coded intel canister from an abandoned structure while avoiding opposing forces. Marcus didn't like the pairing at first. "Of all people," he muttered. Arya didn't react. "We move at 1,300 hours, she said. "Gear up." When the simulation began, Marcus charged forward, ready to lead. But Arya stopped him with a raised hand. "You're too loud," she said. "Sound carries." He frowned. "I've done this before." "No," she replied. "You haven't done it my way." She took point that in the first 5 minutes, Marcus learned more than in his whole previous training. Arya's awareness was beyond human. She could detect movement before it happened. She used silence like a weapon, guiding them through corridors without ever being seen. She predicted patrol routes, disabling sensors without tech equipment, using nothing but timing and instinct. Marcus realized he wasn't following a soldier. He was following a shadow. Inside the building, they ran into an ambush. Lyle took a hit from a paint round and went down. Marcus panicked, but Arya moved like lightning, dragging him behind cover and neutralizing 3 enemy combatants in under 7 seconds. 0.7 seconds. Marcus stared at her, breathless. How did you do that?" Arya wiped paint off her arm. "You learned fast," she said. "When not learning means death." Her tone wasn't harsh. It wasn't arrogant. It was simply true. For the first time, Marcus didn't feel jealous. He felt inspired. Together, they retrieved the intel, avoided enemy squads, and extracted with the fastest mission time of all teams. That night, sitting on the steps outside the barracks, Marcus finally approached her. "Vale," he said quietly. She turned her head slightly. "I'm sorry," he said. "For how I acted. For everything." Arya nodded once. "Ego slows the mind," she said, "but honesty corrects it." Marcus smiled faintly. "You always talk like a philosopher." Arya looked at the stars above the base. Soldiers who survive long enough become philosophers. From that day forward, something changed between them. Marcus stopped showing off and started training seriously. Arya didn't mock him, didn't reject him. She guided him silently, correcting his form, teaching him techniques, showing him discipline through example. Weeks turned into months. Marcus transformed. Not just physically, but mentally. He became calmer, more tactical, more aware. And one morning, Sergeant Rowan called Marcus to his office. "You've changed," Rowan said. Marcus nodded. "I had a good teacher." Rowan smirked. "She taught you because she saw potential. Vale doesn't waste time on lost causes." Marcus swallowed hard. "I want to make up for who I was." "You already are," Rowan said. "You'll see." The final test came unexpectedly, during a real emergency. During a live-fire exercise, an explosion malfunctioned, trapping 2 recruits behind burning debris. Panic erupted. Medics were too far. Smoke filled the area. Marcus and Arya were the first to respond. Marcus didn't hesitate. He followed Arya's lead, using everything she'd taught him. They moved in sync, like 2 halves of the same machine. Marcus lifted fallen beams, using precise leverage points Arya had drilled into him. She stabilized the injured recruits, applying battlefield dressings faster than anyone on site. They pulled the recruits out seconds before the area collapsed. When the medics arrived, Marcus felt something he never had before. Not pride, not ego. Purpose. Later that evening, Rowan addressed the squad. "Vale," he said, "step forward." Marcus did. Rowan continued. "Months ago, you were a liability. Today, you acted like a leader." Marcus felt tears rise, but blinked them away. Then Rowan said something that made the whole squad gasp. "Vale recommended you for advanced tactical selection." Marcus turned to Arya. She stood quietly, arms behind her back, nodding once. "You earned it," Arya said softly. "Not with strength, with growth." And for the first time in his life, Marcus understood true honor. Arya Vale, Special Forces Alpha, had not just defeated him. She had rebuilt him. And that is what makes a true warrior. Not power, not fear, but the ability to make others stronger. If this story inspired you, if it made you believe in growth, discipline, and justice, then make sure to subscribe to Grow for Justice, because we bring you stories that remind you what real strength looks like. And don't forget to tell me in the comments, where are you watching from?